Enfleda, Jutwara. How do I know which saint I should be praying to? Mine, Wolfram. Is that a made-up name? Are you pulling my leg? There's always more. And now I realize there are a lot more.
Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary.
I'm Brother Lawrence.
We are the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. We talked a lot about saints. Brother Lawrence is going to talk to us about something a little bit more specific, about how to discern what saints God might be inviting you to have a particular relationship with.
So first, very clearly, we worship God alone. So the Catholic Church has always been really clear in her language that we worship God alone, we adore God alone, and then we can have what we call devotion or veneration for each other and for other human beings. And a key thing, right? Jesus rose from the dead, and through baptism and faith, we're united with him. We really become one with Jesus Christ. There's a communion with him. And when we enter into communion with Jesus Christ, we're brought into communion with each other. So in the Creed, the Church talks about a communion of saints, and we take that seriously. Like now we are united with, Christians who are on the other side of the world, right? They're celebrating Mass, they're receiving the Eucharist. We are here wherever we are in North America, wherever we are in the world. We're really united to each other, and we really take seriously that transcends, our life in this world. It conquers death. So when someone dies, we remain connected to them in and through Jesus Christ. And just like we can say like, okay, a father is really devoted to his children. Maybe a wife is really devoted to her husband. Like we can be devoted to each other. Some brothers are really devoted, right, to helping each other. People cultivate a devotion sometimes to certain other members of the faithful, and sometimes one they never met while the person was alive, but someone who's canonized, but there's a relationship there. And the church then has a list of those Christians who've gone on, who've died, who we publicly ask for their prayers. So a lot of times when we talk about a saint, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a canonized saint, the canon, the list. People who are on the list, the church says, we publicly ask for this person's prayers. And it really started with the martyrs. Okay, these people, they were clearly united with Jesus. They went all the way to death for him. And then continued on throughout church history, others who just lived a life of heroic virtue. And the church recognized that and gave her official seal to it. How do people choose who they're going to have a devotion to? I would identify three things: intercession, communion, and then imitation. So intercession, we look to each other for prayers, right? We'll ask a brother, okay, I'm struggling with this or that. Can you pray for me? And so sometimes people are looking to a particular saint because they have a particular problem or a particular need, maybe better said. Like maybe I know St. Mother Cabrini worked with immigrants here in New York City. And so if I see some needs for immigrants that I know in New York City, I may think, there's something about her biography, her life experience, what she was passionate about. She's probably going to be enthusiastic about responding to my prayers. If I'm going to ask someone to pray, I know she cares about that already. Maybe she's something I'll ask for that intercession, that specific need that I have, that people around me have. Other times people just know, look, when people ask for prayers from this saint, things seem to happen. I think Padre Pio is a great example. Just a lot of people know, look, miracles happen when they ask for Padre Pio's intercession. So a lot of people ask for his intercession, right? That's how he becomes popular, known as a particularly powerful intercessor. But then I would also talk about communion. Sometimes it's not just, okay, hey, look, I'm looking for help, I'm looking for prayers, but sometimes there's just a sense of connection. It can be because of biography, it can be geography, it can be language. One example for me would be, I think I have a devotion to St. John Henry Newman. He was English, I'm American. But there's something there, okay, I relate to his biography. He was raised Protestant, became Catholic. Okay, I relate to that journey. I think he lived recently enough that he had to live as a Catholic in the modern world. Victorian England is not 21st century America, but there's a similarity that creates a connection, a communion. But sometimes it's not the biography, it's, hey, there was a statue of the saint in my parish church growing up, and I just always felt like she was present to me. And there's a sense of communion, connection. And it's not just that I need something, I just feel the connection. And that can be very powerful and good for people. And then lastly, there's imitation. So again, the saint's biography can play a role. That's why some people really love reading lives of the saints. Or maybe I say okay, I'm a Franciscan brother. Maybe there's a Franciscan saint. I'm looking, okay, this is my role model. I'm looking for someone else who who was active in politics or who was a mother or who was, whatever was in their life story. Can they be a good role model for me? But then sometimes they can be a good role model for imitation, even if their life is very different than mine. I remember one of the first saints who just made an impression on me was Saint Perpetua. So one of the early martyrs in the church, and you could be like, okay, again, 21st century, like college kid, right? We hear about her story, right? Like early church, Roman Empire, laywoman, married with child, like our lives could not be more different. But like you read the story of her martyrdom, and I realize this woman loved Jesus and she had courage and fidelity. Man, I need courage and fidelity. Like that's something I want that I realize I lack. Okay, this woman is a great example for me of someone I can imitate, right? Even if our lives are quite different, I see a virtue there. And that's one reason the church has a list, is we're saying, okay, here's people you can look to as examples of heroic virtue who spur us on. We also ask for their prayers and intercession, and we also just have relationship with them. There's also sort of the shortcut way, which would be, okay, we're talking about saints, and a lot of times we forget that that Mary, our mother, right, is human like us, is a saint in that sense, and devotion to her was encouraged by Jesus Christ himself, right? He's there on the cross, and he talks to the beloved disciple, talks to each one of us, and he says, behold your mother. So I think even thinking through all three of those, like intercession, communion, imitation, like Mary just kind of wins in each category. So not to say that we don't have devotion to other saints, but always put forward our Blessed Mother, because that's who Jesus really offered to us as someone to be in relationship with as well.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Brother Lawrence. And as Brother Lawrence mentioned a couple of times, he was an adult convert to Catholicism. Right. He's shared a little bit of his story on another Present video if you want to check that out. But I don't think it's just a cliche of sometimes how saints choose us. Mm-hmm. And I think there is something with that as well, just to pay attention, like how you resonated with Saint, was it Perpetua? Perpetua, yeah. Just to also just pay attention to who you resonate with. And sometimes it might feel like super random, but when it does, like pay attention and sort of discern whether or not that's something that's a saint, if you will, that's choosing you. Anyway, I think this is a really helpful way to go about it, and hopefully it was helpful for all of you. And if you keep praying for Brother Lawrence, he prepares for diaconate ordination, or perhaps in Thanksgiving for his diaconate ordination, depending on when this video comes out. Great, we'll see you again next week. Remember, we are pilgrims on this earth, somos peregrinos, poco a poco, little by little. Vamos a llegar, we're gonna make it. All right.